So in November, Lapua announced that it was going to be making 6.5 Creedmoor brass. This is a really interesting announcement, I think, because it means that the big 6.5 competition calibers, the 6.5 Creedmoor obviously, the 260 Remington, and the 6.5 by 47 Lapua are now going to be looked at a little differently. Each one of them has some advantages and disadvantages, and I actually looked into those when I ultimately decided to go with my 260 Remington precision rifle build. So having Lapua come in and start making brass for the 6.5 Creedmoor, I think, is going to make it even more popular of a cartridge than it already is. So let's look at what made the 6.5 Creedmoor popular when it first came out. When Hornady introduced the cartridge, they really took a look at what precision shooters wanted and tried to integrate it into the cartridge. So compared to, say, the 260 Remington, the cartridge length is a little bit shorter, which makes it easier to load high BC bullets out to magazine depth. The problem you get with something like the 260 Remington is you may not be able to seat those bullets out as far. The 6.5 Creedmoor is a little shorter, makes it easier to seat those bullets longer. Also, when it first came out, the idea was to have ammo that was basically the same price or even cheaper than 308 match ammo, because that's one big disadvantage of the 260 Remington or the 6.5 by 47 Lapua, is there's not a lot of match ammunition out there, and what is out there is usually not very affordable. Very rarely is it competitive with 308 Winchester ammunition. The Hornady ammunition, on the other hand, in 6.5 Creedmoor, you can get some of their main match loadings for very similar or even less than what you'll find, say, Federal Gold Medal match or some of the common match 308 ammos. Another thing that Hornady did when they first introduced the 6.5 Creedmoor is they wanted it to be friendly not only for those using factory ammunition, but also to hand loaders. And the original boxes of 6.5 Creedmoor actually included the recipe, the bullet, the powder, the charge, and the primer that was used to make that factory ammo. So if you bought those early boxes of ammo, you could actually hand load an exact match to what the factory loaded. Now, the boxes that I've bought recently don't have the load recipe on there anymore, but they do have a lot of loadings for the 6.5 Creedmoor now in a lot of the major reloading manuals, so it's easy to find loads versus when it was brand new. You had to use the box or figure out your own load. So the fact that you can get 6.5 Creedmoor ammo fairly inexpensively, and the fact that it fits in a magazine well, it uses a high BC 6.5mm bullet, has made that round very popular, especially because you can buy it in factory ammo. In fact, a lot of the reports for the factory ammo are good enough that you may actually be able to buy factory ammo and take that to a match and do very well at the match. Even if you're a hand loader, that inexpensive factory ammo may make it easier, or if you count your time and your reloading expenses, it may make it actually cheaper to go out, buy factory ammo the first time, and then reload the brass how you want it to. That'd be especially good if you had a brand new rifle and you wanted to spend some time breaking in the barrel and getting used to the new cartridge. So now with Lapua offering 6.5 Creedmoor brass, that takes away one of the big negatives that a lot of people have had. A lot of people have not been, especially in the precision rifle community, have not been that impressed with Hornady brass. Some people use it, and those shooting 6.5 Creedmoor have not had a lot of choice. You could use maybe Norma or Nosler, but that's going to be at a lot higher price point. So a lot of the shooters have used the Hornady brass, but they've only gotten a few loadings out of it, and they haven't been real happy with it. That's a big reason why people like the 6.5 by 47 Lapua, is it comes with Lapua brass, obviously, that's who designed it, and they have small primer pockets so that you can run your loads at a little bit higher pressure. Well, the Lapua 6.5 Creedmoor brass is going to be offered with a small primer pocket. So that gap between 6.5 by 47 Lapua, 260 Remington, and the 6.5 Creedmoor is now getting a little smaller, mainly because you can get that high quality brass. I think that's going to make the 6.5 Creedmoor even more popular than it is, because you still have that factory option for people that either don't have the time or don't have the equipment to reload. They can go ahead and buy factory ammo, and they can get it at a decent price and have quality factory match ammo. But then as they get into reloading, they can reload either that Hornady brass that they already have as they learn to reload, or they can take the time and spend a little extra money, go out and get Lapua brass, and then put a little more effort into their reloading and start getting truly precision ammo. So I think that 6.5 Creedmoor brass being available is going to be a big game changer, a big opportunity for the 6.5 Creedmoor to take an even bigger lead and become possibly the king of the 6.5 calibers for long-range competition. I don't think it'll get rid of the others, because there's always going to be people that find a benefit in one or the other. For example, my 260 Remington, it has a little bit higher powder capacity. There's a little more volume in the cases, so I can get a little more velocity. Now, is that something that is going to make or break a match? Probably not. And that's why, even though the 6.5 by 47 Lapua has a smaller case capacity than the 6.5 Creedmoor, a lot of people still use it because they feel like the quality of the brass and the design of the cartridge is still worth it. So it's not all about speed or name, but the 6.5 Creedmoor, I think, offers a lot to especially the newer precision rifle shooter, because you have that inexpensive factory option. But now I think it offers a lot even for the experienced reloader, because you can use the cheaper Hornady brass, or you can start using the Lapua brass now and get the same quality that you would with a lot of these other loadings. Maybe the 6mm Dasher, 6mm BRX, 6.5 by 47 Lapua, 6mm by 47 Lapua. So I think it's going to be interesting, because a lot more people will be able to buy into the 6.5 Creedmoor. You know, maybe that they get a Ruger Precision rifle, or some of these newer rifles that are coming out that are being offered in 6.5 Creedmoor. You now have that option to move from your lower end factory rifle with factory ammo to potentially upgrading the barrel, replacing the barrel with a higher end option, and then at the same time upgrading your brass to Lapua. And then with Lapua's reputation for durability, you know, I've only got, I think, 3 to 4 loadings on my 260 Remington brass right now, so I haven't really gotten to the point where I see the difference in durability. But one of the shooters I know that's shooting 6mm Dasher said he's got over 20 reloads on his Lapua brass, and that's not pushing it very hot, but still, that's a huge difference. The Lapua brass may cost a little more, but if you're loading 20 times versus Hornady brass maybe getting 4 to 5 loadings, then in the long run the Lapua may actually be cheaper, in addition to being higher quality. So I'm pretty excited to see what's going to happen as far as if this makes the 6.5 Creedmoor even more popular, or if it stays about the same. At this point, I'm going to continue to shoot my 260 Remington, because that's what I have. In fact, when I shoot out this barrel, I will probably go ahead and rebarrel another 260 Remington until I've either destroyed or lost or used up the brass that I have. But if I were to go with a new rifle system, have a new rifle built, especially with 6.5 Creedmoor brass being available in Lapua, I would very seriously consider shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor. I think the Lapua and the Creedmoor are so similar in performance that I wouldn't see a big change, but I do like that opportunity to be able to potentially shoot factory ammo if I had to, but then normally shoot that high quality reloads that I make myself. So I'm very interested to see what the future has for the 6.5 Creedmoor. I think it has gotten very popular. Even now, oh, that's another good point with wildcatting. You know, a lot of guys in the PRS are starting to experiment with the 6mm wildcats, 6x47 Lapua, which I mentioned earlier, and then the 6mm Creedmoor. So now that gives the option for those guys that want to shoot the 6mm Creedmoor. They can do it with Lapua brass, and they don't have to just resize the Hornady brass. So let me know in the comment section below what you think is going to happen. Do you think this is going to change the way that the 6.5 Creedmoor is looked at? Do you think it's going to stay the same, or do you think it's going to get even more popular now that there's better quality brass available for it? Like I said, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Take care.